Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To some of you, and peace out to the rest of you, the blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man on social media, sign of black in and shining again. Asking you to hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. And, this one's going to be two messages, but I'm still going to try to keep them quick because you Negroes got short attention span. So, first one is regarding this idea that when a black man steps out, he's just going to wind up with a low-grade white woman. And I want to clarify this right quick. There's a pattern to this. When a black man does step out and he's stuck in a rural environment somewhere and he can't leave it, then that's when he's probably going to wind up with a low-grade white woman. As to why these black men will do that, that's not because she's white. It's because his options and sisters were worse. That's why. So these low-grade big trailer park white women that these guys might be settling with and for when they're in these rural areas are subpar, certainly, but the point is that for them to settle for that, sisters got to be a worse deal. And I have been to places like rural Mississippi and rural Ohio. Now in rural Ohio, you don't find a lot of us anyway, but you go into rural Mississippi, you find us, and you're going to see that there's some sisters out there that are even worse deals than these trailer park white women whose cousins might want to lynch you. They do exist. Trifling, especially when they look any kind of good, terribly acting. So you might say, look at all these fine sisters out here. Well, you know, Western women in general have a problem, and that is that if their looks are anything decent, sometimes even not that much, they got attitudes that make them insufferable, and they drive men away. White women with any kind of looks are driving white men away. This is a Western phenomenon. It's not white and it's not black, it's Western. Now, when a black man decides to step out, but he gets to go into a urban environment where there's more exposure, more diversity, be it in the West or outside the West, he's got more of a chance to be with someone that's not even white in the first place. Now, as for what quality she is, that's going to depend on him and how her people view black folks. Because I'm going to tell you now, there are women out there, there are women whose people don't look at black men as being worth anything. And so when they're in bad shape, then their own men don't want them, they will get a black man. You got to really watch out when it's an Indian woman or when it's a woman of Arab background. Especially if you don't have the same beliefs. You're not Hindu like she is, or you're not Muslim like she is. Especially if you're not Muslim like she is and she's willing to be with you, she's already somebody that her people don't want. Just keep that in mind. But, it could be somebody from the continent. Your race does not count against you in her eyes, at least you hope not. And if it did, chances are she'd just go run off with one of the guys that's in the majority. So if she's from the continent and she's digging you and feeling you at all, more than likely your race does not count against you in her eyes. And she's not just settling for you. But what I'm saying is that the pattern is going to be based on where this man is. First off, when he makes the decision. But in any case, understand that when you do see black men with women of another race, whatever her quality is, you must understand that black women who are bringing the same things to the table as these women, these other women, usually were bringing an attitude that made them insufferable as some sort of compensation or price for whatever positives and pluses they were bringing. She's coming in nice, fine, flat stomach, nice figure, good looks. She's educated, earning some good money. Even if her education and money don't increase her standing to a man, if she has them and along with these looks, she's going to have an attitude. We already know. And that's not just the sister. That's the Western woman, white or black. So understand that. You think that a brother's going to leave sisters be and he's going to turn around and then go straight into the arms of the women who taught Boom Shika Bon Quisha and Sapphire to be so nasty and find the high quality to justify his decision? No, that's not how it works. He's still in the West. She's going to do the same thing. What it comes down to is that oftentimes, at the very least, they will start off better with him than the sister would. That's all it is in many cases. And that's when he's stuck in an area where all there is the male mafia. Now, if that's all there is, yeah, that's all he can leave sisters for. But if he's in an urban environment, as I said, where there are other options, you're going to see what options the men make. Sisters, if you really want to see the truth behind this statement when y'all make it, follow these brothers to these second and third world nations, and you will see that whatever he's looking for, if he's looking to trick, if he's looking for a girlfriend, or if he's looking for a wife, whatever he's looking for, his options are more abundant and better when he goes to these areas. And if you can look with an objective eye, you will see it. Anyway, that's enough about that message. The next thing I wanted to say was regarding my message about men restricting access to the peen. I understand that this sounds unrealistic, and to many of you men, it sounds feminine. Like I'm talking like a woman, thinking like a woman. It's retaliatory and catty, and you may be thinking that's not even a punishment for them. No, that is. When you withhold sex from women, it's a punishment from them. What do you think they're doing in women's prisons? If withholding male sex was not a penalty to women, they would all be ready to go to women's prisons. They're not. You charge a woman with a serious crime and you're about to incarcerate her for several years, she's going to try to fight the charge. She don't want to be locked up with a bunch of women. Even with male guards around, she don't want to be locked up with a bunch of women. They don't want that. Women complain about that. So get over that mindset first. Because that's a mindset that believes that women have no libido and men have libidos. That's not true. Men have libidos, women have libidos. Secondly, understand that it's not feminine to talk about withholding sexual access from these women because it is necessary. I'm not talking about doing this to be feminine. I'm not talking about doing this so that you make yourselves easier targets for men to come and approach you. I'm not talking about any of this stuff. I'm talking about, and for none of these reasons, if men start doing this, and 2 generations or 3 generations from now, men that are into men start to say, well, let's go ahead and just approach these, even the men that are not into men, let's go ahead and approach them because there's no other outlet and alternative for them anyway, then they misunderstood. I'm not saying this to encourage men to be with men. I'm a Muslim and you'll never catch me encouraging this. What I am saying this for is so that men understand. And actually men are able to free themselves from the corners into which women want to paint us. That's why I'm saying it. I am not here to preach 2 things when it comes to men and men engaging in sex. I'm not here to encourage fornication. For one, I'm also not here to encourage celibacy. These are 2 extremes. As you know, I don't do extremes. I am here to tell you that if you have no sexual standards for these women to meet, comparable in effort and difficulty to their sexual standards for you, they don't have a reason to respect you, number 1. Number 2, they're going to continue to do what they're doing because they can. They will continue to weed most of you out sexually, therefore genetically, then turn around and try to get you stuck either through deception or through strong arming through the courts and the government, power of the state, to get you to pay for the children of the men they wanted to screw. And you ain't it. And don't think that they're just winding up doing this. They are planning this because they can, because peen is so available to them. Commitment and love might not be that available to them when they get older, but peen is available to them, and that's what they're doing. They want kids. And that's okay, that's normal. But they're not going to allow you to find sexual relief from them without some stress to offset that sexual relief. And if the stress has to be a child, and they're going to put you on the hook for that child, that's what it's going to be. But most of you listening are willing to take care of your own children anyway. That's not the issue. However, if they can get the guy they want genetically and they don't have to put him on the hook for child support, then they'll put you on the hook. Attorney Dennis Spurling, Uncle D, said this. on his live stream. And then again, in the interview with Oshay Duke Jackson, he pretty much stated, if men don't force women to stop this, they have no incentive to stop screwing the men they want genetically and then putting the cost of the children onto the men they would have never even slept with to conceive the child in the first place. And remember, you don't have to have ever had a sexual relationship with a woman to wind up on the hook in some states paying her child support. And she may not put the biological father on because, remember, we already know who they screw and who they want raising the children are two different guys. So he didn't have the money. And if he had had the money, he wouldn't have been as appealing to her. I mean, he would have been financially appealing, but if he had had the money, he would have not been her type genetically. He would have been her type financially. She would have gone and slept with another dude that was carefree and charming because he ain't trying to get nothing. And then put that baby on someone with the money. That's what they're going to do. Because men who don't have to work have more free time on their hands and they can be more charming. That's what it boils down to. Plus, there are some men that women just want to get with anyway, so they don't have incentive to do anything and be anything in life. Now, there are men who want to do and be things in life no matter how many women are chasing them down. There are men that want to do this. There are such men. But the women are going for the men who not only they want to screw and sleep with, but these men also have the free time to do that. That's what they're going for. These are the men that don't really have much incentive or drive to be anything in life. That's who's making the babies. And the women know this, and they are hoping for that payday from most of us men who they view as suckers. So they paint the majority of us into that corner. Nigga, you gonna either be celibate or in exchange for some paltry punani, you can raise these other men's kids. That's the corner they want to paint most of us into. If you can restrict their access to you and the other next man can do it in this case, you don't need to police each other. You simply police your own peen. But enough of us do this, and what's going to wind up happening? I've already talked about that. But I just wanted to say in this one that this is not a tactic of femininity. This is not something I'm doing to increase a man's chances of convincing you to run off with him. None of that stuff. There's no ulterior motive in this. This I'm talking about, although it is a part and parcel of my religion, I'm telling you this because if you don't believe in the same faith I do, okay, well, here is a temporal and military and practical reason to do this so that they can't just as easily get one man to take care financially of another man's kids. That's why. Because right now their arsenal is the state. And if you do what I said to lower your libido, the way you're going to think when your libido is low, consistently low, not gone. You don't turn asexual or homo, but when it's just low, when it's lower than theirs, than the woman's, consistently, because you're fasting, you will find that your ability to think is so much clearer as long as you're getting enough sleep and everything else is okay. You'll find you look at them and what they want. You see, this is why I'm saying this. How old were you when you realized how childish and narcissistic the Wicked Witch of the West is on average? How old were you when you realized that there's this Lois Lane Superman syndrome amongst them? In my case, I knew these things in my teens. I just didn't know how to articulate them. And there was no internet, and when there was internet, there wasn't social media. I was lucky, but I had to go through a lot of bad luck to reach these realizations at so young of an age. I don't want y'all to have to go through these things to reach that. Simply put, do as I said before. But think about this. You can reach these realizations. Other men can reach these realizations before their 20th birthday if we do what I said. Because then you can see them with clarity. They're childish. The way that they even talk, ask them to describe many things, and the way they go back and forth, well, it is, but it's not, it's kind of, but it really isn't, that way of speaking doesn't even make sense. Ask them to describe what they want in men, why they make the decisions in men that they make. Ask them to do that. That same woman that can't fuck the shuck up about anything else, all of a sudden gets really cloudy, nebulous, struggles to find words, starts talking with her hands because she can't explain it. And if they can't explain that, which is a very important decision-making process in anyone's life, then why do we consider them old enough and mature enough and adult enough to even give them access to the peen? We're not pedophiles. Are we? I know we're not. The answer is no. But you can act so much more consistently with what you actually believe in any case when you clear your mind of that. It doesn't disappear and vanish altogether. You don't become unnatural. You don't become asexual. And if you did, so doggone what? You certainly don't become homo. But when you do what I said, your libido drops to below theirs. And then you're the one that gets to think more clearly about what's good for you, because it ain't like you can commit maternity fraud against her anyway, is it? Now think about that. Thank you for listening. I wish I could have kept this down to 8 or 7 minutes, but black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power just because they don't like it. And that's only going to happen if we learn to govern and dial down the libidos. And black patriarchy until extinction, judgment day, which we're not going to get back unless we do what I said.